Workshoppers, we live in a time of parody songs, and those songs are being judged by the internet. Who's gonna top last episode's opening? Me? Me? Talentless Nineball? I have so little talent that you can even possibly fathom. You rejoice about Archon and Leviathan singing, and you leave me cursed to follow that up? You have the luxury of not having to hear me sing. That not having to hear my parody probably saved your life. You don't want to hear me sing, because deep down in that dark place of yours that you don't talk about, you don't want me to sing a parody. You need me to not sing that song. You use words like trend or tradition or expectation. We use those words as the backbone of just trying to make me sing a song. You use them as a punchline. I have neither the time nor the inclination to sing a parody, and I would rather you just say start the show and get this thing underway.
Very nice, and I googled it, and I have some guesses, but I can't say I know the reference.
I have no clue.
Oh, that was
Okay, I'll take one guess here.
A
Few Good Men.
Yes.
Nice. Okay.
There it is.
Yep. You can't handle the parody.
Okay. Yeah. That was good. You changed enough of the words that you made it hard for me to Google it, but
I changed it up just a little bit. Had to cut out a sentence that wouldn't make it. It would, if I went on with it too much from that point of view, it would make it kind of like sound like I'm trying to pity myself. So I had to change it up there a little bit.
There's no self-pity here.
Nineball, you just saved my life. Yes, I just saved your life.
I think we're although I gotta say, Nineball gave us a little sneak peek at something he'd been working on, and I still hope we get to hear a parody one of these days.
He's in the lab making beats. The beats just aren't fresh enough yet, though.
As I walk through New Tristram, where I start up my game, you know.
There we go. You got one line.
There you go.
Teaser.
Chip.
It's coming.
I'll let you go.
Be ready.
I'll let you ball.
And speaking of parodies, before we get into our weekend gaming, 2 new parodies came out this week. I think we're starting a trend.
Yeah.
I'm inclined to agree.
Yeah. If you guys haven't seen them, look for Hey There Kadala and Firebird. 2 awesome Diablo parodies written by some of the community members.
Very nice. Very nice.
So yeah, we didn't have a show last week, and that's partly my fault, or at least Cox Cable's fault. I'm calling you guys out. Cox Cable's not up to par, not up to snuff this last week, and we just couldn't. We didn't have the connection. But we're here, and hopefully this week goes well. So we got 2 weeks of gaming to share with you guys.
Yep. So that's kind of the reason why we're constantly on social media saying, oh, not today, but we'll try again tomorrow, because there's always, it's like, well, the connection should be fine tomorrow. It should be tonight's just a screw up, and here we are a week later, and we're still having a little bit of connection issues.
Yeah. Sorry about that, guys.
Damn internets. Don't worry, we're moving the show to Sweden soon, where we'll get amazing internet service providers.
Yeah,
yes.
The Scandinavian connections. We need some of them.
Mm-hmm.
Cheap too.
We should actually go to Estonia.
Ooh.
I was reading about Estonia, and that's one of the greatest places to live. One of the highest opt-ins of broadband internet, and just overall great country.
That's all that really matters is the internet connection, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't need to go outside, so who cares what else is happening there?
Weather unimportant.
Nope. But it's actually. Sorry, go ahead.
It also has one of the, speaking of going outside, it also has, I think it was the highest forest area to population ratio in the world, something like that. So it's, I could see that. Yeah.
Yeah, when I went there, we went to some of the old cities that they had, where they still had cobblestone walkways and castles and things. It was really cool.
That actually is a little bit deceiving, because I've been to France, and a lot of the towns are actually like that. But they went through, and when I was visiting my great aunt, they went and said that a lot of the structures that you see there are new, but they have the coding makes it so that way they have to emulate the style.
Where's
so
that?
They have to use.
I would say we're setting a precedent here. Usually it takes us like 30 minutes to get off topic. We're just starting off topic.
Yeah.
Not too shabby. Not too shabby.
Nineball, do you want to start us off with your 2 weeks in gaming?
Yes, my 2 weeks in gaming haven't been very eventful. I wasn't terribly lying about not having time to write a parody. I did finally get around to beating Destiny, and then I really haven't touched it much since. And then Shadows of Mordor just came out yesterday, and I played that for about an hour. Other than that, I've done a little bit of Diablo 2 farming. I'm getting closer to Paragon level 300, which is an amazing feat for me.
You did say Diablo 2, so I just want to clarify.
Yep, sorry, Diablo 3. Diablo
Okay.
3. Yeah, level 300 in Diablo 2 over on
That's impressive.
playing Median XL. And then besides that, the one major thing that I have done in gaming is I won my quarterfinals match in the Warhammer 40k league that I'm in, and my semifinal match is this weekend, along with, if I win, the final match on Sunday.
Nice. A round of nerd applause for Nineball.
Yeah, I'm so excited.
Can you hide it though?
I just can't hide.
There it is.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Good luck. Best of luck.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Leviathan, what about you?
2 weeks in gaming. It was very up and down. Right after the show, the last time we had one, I got sick, so I actually stayed home from work Thursday and Friday, which
Awesome.
you think would be like, hey, lots of sleep. Nope, lots of Diablo.
Yeah, sick. Right. Gotcha. Okay.
Got very sick. Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, I actually did catch up on sleep, which was great. And I felt like I was, playing a lot, so it was cutting sleep. And I think that it was cutting some of my enjoyment out of it too, because I just felt irritated all the time because I wasn't sleeping. So like when I didn't find the items I wanted, I was just, I don't know, like having this like negative reaction. But when I got the
Sounds
sleep,
pretty normal. For me, at least.
well, yeah, I mean, there's always a little bit of that frustration, right? But even when I got the sleep and I was playing and I wasn't finding the items I wanted, I still felt like I was like, but this is fun. Like, I feel awake and good, and as good as I could anyways. But getting into the details of it, that day I stayed home the Thursday the first time. I went into Greater Rifts and just decided to do a bunch of them. Ended up clearing Greater Rift 35 that day, and that shot me up to rank 5 on the Crusader Hardcore seasonal leaderboards.
Nice.
Which was awesome. And then I ended up, farming through the weekend, etc., just looking for some upgrades. And that next week, I ended up with my internet issue, pretty similar to Archon. So I couldn't even play for like 4 or 5 days. The ranking was dropping. I was just like sitting here, like desperate, like, what's happening? Shaking the keyboard, calling Comcast.
I hope you didn't have to like go outside and do any physical activities.
I mean, I went to work and I actually did clean my apartment, which was in dire need.
There you go.
It was in dire need. So I got some other things done. And then just recently, I think it was maybe Saturday or Sunday, the tech came, we got the internet back up, and I cleared Greater Rift 37, which shot me up to rank 4 on the leaderboards. And then someone else just cleared like a 38. So now I'm back down to rank 5, where I started at the 2 weeks of gaming.
Oh, that's impressive. I'm at 27, so I'm lagging way behind. I still haven't even gotten one Unity. QQ.
Oh no.
I'm spending.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, all my blood shards are going to get to rings for Kadala now. I did get. Let's see, it's been a while. I think it was in the last 2 weeks that I finally got my Firebird's gloves.
Nice.
So I started to use my mirror ball again, which was really nice. And I was following Leviathan's advice of going for tier 24 Greater Rift stones.
Mm-hmm.
So I got it worked out pretty well. So on the time trials, I could get 24 every time because I feel safe in 24, and I could get up to rank 25. Grinded out some of those and got both my gems up to 25. It had been a while since I'd stepped into the Greater Rifts. I was just farming regular Rifts, but got them and started farming on T6. And feeling good about T6. But not climbing the leaderboards as fast as I was like. I need to get those unities. But I'm ashamed to admit this. I know you guys are gonna not you two, but maybe the viewers might judge me a little bit. But I probably played more WoW than Diablo in the last 2 weeks.
Dun, dun.
I know. All my real life friends, I do have a few, started playing WoW, and I got hooked back in. It's just kind of weird, I guess, because this is like a high point for Diablo and a low point for WoW right now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you guys saw it, but Raptor, I think it's AMD that owns it. It's like a background program that runs while you're gaming.
Mm-hmm.
They put out the top 20 games by playtime. And let me pull it up real fast, because it was pretty interesting. The top game, you could probably guess. What do you think? Most playtime?
League of Legends.
Dota 2.
All right, League of Legends. But not just was it number one, by a lot. 20.5% of all gaming of people running Raptor, but that's like I think at least 1 million people. I'm not sure how many people running it. A lot of people. 20%, over 20% was League of Legends. Number 2 was World of Warcraft, but at 7.6%.
Wow.
Yeah. And then Dota 2, Counter-Strike Go, Smite, Diablo 3 though coming in at 6.
That's kind of impressive, given how much you kind of seen the numbers dropping off. It's really nice to see that Diablo is still up there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, a lot of people saying the game's dead, but no, it's alive and well.
Do you know what month that was for too, or what time?
That was for August.
So. Okay, so that wasn't even with seasons, because I bet that number would be higher in September.
No, I think you're right.
Yeah,
I think you're right.
I mean, just speaking about traffic that we've gotten at BlizzPro, it's been a night and day difference. Going from August into September, people really craving that 2.1 knowledge and such. And Danny Ray has been just locking it down over at Diablo.blizzpro.com.
Yeah, so yeah, I think they should be putting out September's pretty soon, and I bet we'll see Diablo even higher up. They show how much variance there's been. Diablo was stagnant, so even in July, Diablo was at number 6. But on a side note, real fast, a game that I totally forgot about until I saw this list, because it fell off the list. It's not even in the top 20. WildStar.
Huh. Yeah, what happened there?
Wow.
Remember when that was going to be the next big thing?
The WoW killer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Makes me sad.
I have to say, I haven't heard anything about that game since it came out.
Yeah, the hype was not real, I guess.
Not at all.
Yeah, I was reading some articles, and it looks like their sub numbers have only dropped since the game first came out.
Well, yeah, that's to kind of be expected about almost any game nowadays.
I suppose so. But no, yeah, I had high hopes for that game. I played it in beta, but I just couldn't get into it, and yeah, hopefully it makes a comeback. I guess we'll see. There's a lot of WoW devs on that game. Old WoW devs, of course.
You know what I'm wondering too? I'm wondering if just MMORPGs in general are becoming less favored. Especially with now, I guess we can mention it, with Titan being canned for good. It seems like maybe developers are shifting to a different format, or maybe just more to the free to play. And MMORPGs don't really fit that model because you need the subscriptions to support the servers, etc. So I wonder if we're seeing a culture shift, maybe.
I think you're right. I think attention spans are going down. Because one of the things that Blizzard said about canning Titan was that they realized their small games like Hearthstone and Heroes of the Storm are getting really popular, and so they don't necessarily need to make these huge games just to get a fan base.
Yeah, and you look at a lot of the MMOs that are out there and are actually still successful. Of course, obviously World of Warcraft, is one of the only ones that fits that paid subscription model, because you don't hear anything about the Star Wars: The Old Republic, which eventually went free to play, or Elder Elder Scrolls Online, and then you have other ones that are like Star Trek Online, which is a 100% free to play model, and it actually has been increasing in popularity over the last 2 years since they came out with their first expansion, and they've kind of been focusing in more so on that limited play experience instead of trying to make some sort of giant massive game that you can just spend hours and hours going through and doing like a million dailies. You can still go through and do that within the game, but it's kind of more of a small focus, I'm going to play for an hour, and it feels like a really great game if you play it for like an hour or two every week, and you don't really feel like you're missing anything.
Yeah. I mean, like, to put it into perspective, Star Trek's not on there, WildStar's not on there. Guild Wars 2, though, is still at number 12 on the list of most played. Yeah, even Gary's mod is on this list at 17. Which, if you guys don't know what Gary's mod is,
I don't even know what that is. It's
just like a physics engine to play around in. There's no like real game play with objects. It's a mod for, I think, Counter-Strike.
It is a base mod for Half-Life.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Because Counter-Strike, even though it is a separate game now, it of course started off as a mod for Half-Life.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think MOBAs are trending. I think a big part of that is just people don't have time to sit down and play for 8 hours. They like fast games, get in and get out, low attention span.
And I think that's probably why Heroes of the Storm is the way it is too. Like, one of the big things that they were pumping up about that game was they're going to cut out, a lot of that early farming, the low level stuff. Items, weren't going to be part of the grind for a match, so your match times are going to get cut down almost in half. And so a Heroes of the Storm game takes far less investment than League of Legends, so people who have even less time might end up migrating to that game.
Indeed. All right. Well, maybe we should
talk about Diablo.
Yeah, let's talk about Diablo. It's not like we don't have anything to mention.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff.
Yeah. We got some time. We got 2 weeks to catch up.
Yeah. You want to start us off? Nineball?
Sure. I guess like the big thing that we obviously need to cover is patch 2.1.1 finally got released, and we've got a lot of great things that were contained in there. We had one of the biggest ones I know for the player base was probably the buff to pet survivability for witch doctors. I know they've been complaining about that for a while because their pets and the higher risks just did not cut the mustard. They are getting one shot by everything, but now they've significantly increased their survivability. They gave them a lot of health scaling as well as just more damage reduction versus a lot of attacks that were just one-shotting them before. And witch doctors, so unsurprisingly, have been performing a lot better in greater rifts since last week when that patch went live.
Yeah, I actually talked to a couple of friends that are playing Witch Doctor, and they said, they've been able to bump up a couple of greater rifts just because their pets, aren't being one-shot or melted or anything like that. So, seems that it's working as intended now, huh?
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, seems that way.
Yeah, I know last week, to change the topic a little bit, players were a little concerned about the, I put this in quotes, Kadala nerf. A lot of players logged on to find out that the Kadala items cost 5 times as much as they did the last time they logged on, and a lot of complaining on the forums.
Quite a bit, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's settled down a little bit, but maybe we could still clear the air a little bit here. The Kadala change was in fact a buff. It is in fact good for all of us, although you're going to pay 5 times as much blood shards for your Kadala items. You're going to get more legendaries per blood shard spent. I think Travis had said it's about 1 in 10 items will be a legendary.
Exactly.
Yep.
And overall, I think you're getting about 33% more legendaries than you were before the change.
And I think it's easy for a lot of the players to go in, spend 500 blood shards, get 10 items, then they're used to filling an entire stash or an entire inventory's worth. None of them are legendary, and then go to the forms instantly, but that's one instance of spending your blood shards. There's still RNG involved, so it's not like you're going to hit that exact ratio of 1 to 10 right away. You might end up spending a bunch of blood shards and you pop 5 legendaries in a row. I've seen tons of stories about that too, but those ones were kind of getting shoved down to the bottom of the forums, and the complainers are the loudest. So I think it has died down not only because Travis hopped on the forums and gave his two words, 2 cents, but also just because people are playing with it more now and realizing, oh yeah, I am getting more than I was.
Yep. So it definitely is nowhere near as hot of a topic this week as it would have been last week.
Yeah.
Yep.
Although a offspring of that topic, which is hotter now, is that after that change, a lot of people were complaining that they didn't have enough veiled crystals. Because they used to get all these yellows from Kadala, and now their blood shards don't give them nearly as much yellows. I don't know how people ran out of veiled crystals. I have like thousands of them stashed away. I don't know about you guys.
Because you don't do enchanting.
You have not been
enchanting.
crafting chests.
You guys are running out of veiled crystals?
Yeah.
I've not been getting any upgrades, so I have been accumulating a little bit of a stockpile, and I've got, I think, 700 or 800, but that was always my limiter. It was never gold, it was never Forgotten Souls, it was always Veiled Crystals, was always my limiter in enchanting.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I was running out of both souls and money before Veiled Crystals, but yeah, I guess it just depends. And I usually don't pick up yellows, but yeah, I guess you were not alone. Lots of people were complaining, and so, but yeah, I think they made a good change. You now get a ton of Veiled Crystals when you kill Rift Guardians.
And well, they were originally stating that in 2.1.1, and it really wasn't until the hotfix last night that went up that they actually started to drop more veiled crystals. Because what was happening, I think, they never came out and said this was a bug, but I think what was happening was there was supposed to be a chance for one of the materials, white, blue, or yellow, to drop in a higher number from the Rift Guardian. But it was always happening to whites and blues and never to yellows. It seemed I would get like 2 veiled crystals from every Rift Guardian kill.
Yeah.
But then yesterday they did the hot fix. I think it was somewhere in the middle of last night here on the East Coast, and it noticeably shot up. I was getting about 25 per Rift Guardian, and more rares were also dropping too. Not that I was picking up more of them, I just noticed more of them on the floor.
And one of the other problems with that is even if they actually had increased the veiled crystals up to the same amount that they were, like the blues and the whites, you need more yellows than you do either of the other ones. So it needs to drop in higher quantities than anything else because it just requires so much more.
Yeah. On that note, what do you guys pick up when you're farming just regular rifts?
Only legendaries.
I pick up legendaries, gems, and I occasionally get yellows because it's around the gem or the legendary that I'm picking up, and I just don't have enough time to aim, so I just spam click in that general area till it's no longer on the ground.
Okay. Well, I guess you could run out of veiled crystals if you don't pick up yellows.
This is true. It depends too on like what you're crafting or what you're enchanting too, because obviously some slots take more of them than others.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I was at like a stockpile of something like 8,000 of them, and then I tried to craft an Ogchild's helm for some testing.
I heard what you did. I heard what you did there.
There it is. And I could not, for the life of me, craft it going. Like it wasn't rolling main stat, and if it rolled main stat, it wasn't rolling a socket. Like there were just so many issues, and I went down to about 1,000 of them from 8,000 because I think it was about 90 per craft. So it's unbelievable.
Nice.
Yeah. And I also just pick up everything that the Rift Guardian drops.
Might as well.
That's where most of my yellows come from.
Exactly, ditto.
Yeah, I do the same. I only pick up legendaries and gems when I'm running. But yeah, somehow veiled crystals are the things that I run out of last usually.
A tale of two cities there, huh?
Guess so.
All right. Well, I got the next news item here. A nice little quality of life change to goblins that was actually further explained on today by Tivolier in the forums. So now when you see a goblin, it shows up in its natural state of just hanging out, waiting for you to hit it with its portal open. And this is just a way for you to notice them more on the map. It doesn't mean that you're going to have a better chance of getting into the vault. Obviously, it still doesn't occur if you're inside of a rift and you see no goblins in greater rifts. But it's just another way for you to say, oh, there's a goblin over there, let me go kill it. And it also, now that the portal is there, has a icon on the minimap as well. So the best thing was this weekend I was playing and I found one of those goblin packs in a rift. And my little mini map was just like littered with those blue swirly dots, and I was like, "Oh my goodness, yes, it's happening!" So excited.
I don't know about you guys. I played before I read this change, and I kept wondering how I was aggroing the treasure goblins before I saw them. I was like, wait, again? They're already opening the portal? I was like panicking every time I saw a goblin.
Nice.
Getting trolled.
Yeah.
One thing I did want to touch on with that real quick, though, is I've been noticing that and I haven't gotten an answer on it. I pinged Tivolier to give me an answer, but he didn't say anything. I've been noticing that the goblins take a far longer time to port away. Like when I did attack that pack that I found in the rift, some of them ran left, some ran right. I killed a couple that were next to me. Then I went to the ones to the left, and I went back over to the ones to the right, and they were just standing there, like not opening a portal, not running, not doing anything. So I don't know if it's a bug or just a longer timer or what.
Yeah, I was wondering with the treasure goblin change is if it was just like a philosophy change of let's just give people the treasure goblins. Let's not penalize people for playing on a high difficulty, and get rid of the frustration and just say treasure goblins are like a chest. It's just some extra loot you get.
Yeah, and I've kind of like coming to terms. I'm no longer excited about seeing a treasure goblin in a rift anymore, because they can't spawn the vault, and I've yet to find legendaries from killing a treasure goblin. With all the hundreds that I've killed, I've just never found any. It's always just gold, gems, and yellows that I don't pick up.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. And with the boon of the hoarder, is not even all that much gold comparatively.
Yeah. What would you think if they made treasure goblins more rare, like 25% as many treasure goblins as you're seeing right now, but like a much higher chance of dropping legendaries?
That would be nice.
I'd be a fan, yeah. Because then when you see them, you're truly excited. You're like, okay, this is a really good chance to get a leg.
Yeah. I guess the problem would be the developers introducing that without everyone complaining about the treasure goblin nerf.
Yep.
Especially those who are hunting for the vault too. They would have an even lower chance because.
Well, you could increase the chance accordingly for the vault.
Oh yeah, that's true. That is true.
Yeah.
But players will still take it as they will. It's always a nerf.
It's always a nerf.
Unless it puts items in your inventory, it is a nerf.
Yeah. True story.
Yeah. Going on with some more quality of life changes, the enchanting. They significantly reduce the cost of enchanting jewelry because you don't need the flawless Imperial, you just need an Imperial gem. So that makes that a hell of a lot easier when you're going through. It makes it so that way you need 50 million less freaking topazes, which was always horrendous trying to roll a socket onto a ring or an amulet. So it's something that I definitely enjoy.
Yeah. No, yeah, I appreciated that a lot. I was running out of gems pretty quickly, trying to still have like 73 crit damage on my amulet. Actually, no, I got 74. Yeah, right? Game trolling me. After like 20 or 30 tries, it gave me a 74 crit damage. I was like, thanks a lot, game.
Well, hey, now you get more attempts at getting up to 75 now.
Yeah, right. Yep. Well, a lot of players have been complaining that the greater rifts aren't very balanced, and I think I'm in this boat. Every time you go through your run of greater rifts, you find yourself maxing out at a different number because there's just so much luck. All right, like with what map you get, with what the mob density is, with the unit type. So they did a little bit of balancing. I think mostly with the mob density. Is that right?
I think this balancing was for the trials. Actually, I'm not sure that it applied to the greater rifts themselves.
Yeah, I think that there's something that they were actually collecting feedback on for the density in the greater rifts themselves. I don't think any changes themselves have been made, though they did do a little bit of quality of life changes for the rifts themselves by a lot of the enemies that start off screen, either burrowed or flying in the air, that they now start on the map. So you'll see them, or they'll fly in quicker, so that way you can actually see them beforehand. So you're not going and running around, and then all of a sudden, you have a elite pack of maggot broods that just pop up all around you, and you're surrounded by fire chains and arcane beams are all going and spitting out there.
Damn Archon beams.
Archon beams.
Sorry, my beams are getting in everyone's way.
You just see little pictures of TJ going and spinning around on the screen.
I think I'm officially calling those Archon beams now.
There we go.
9-ball, I gotta call you out here.
Okay.
Okay, I'll accept the crap I got for not having to pat the show notes up. It's all on me. This week, I copied both emails from the show notes. I got them in an iPad and in a notepad. I got them all laid out very nice. And then I read the next point, greater rift balancing. I was thrown under the bus.
You got him.
I think I was set up into a trap here, but I forgive you.
But then the thing is, it's like greater rift balancing. I didn't put it in with a link, but to actually look at the patch notes to see what balance changes they made.
It's been 2 weeks.
Nowhere in it do I actually say anything about density changes or anything like that.
I agree. So, nowhere in it.
Yeah.
Did you say anything about the changes?
Yes.
Mommy and Daddy are fighting in the middle of this.
I do agree, though. 9-ball also makes a point about the damn armor destroyers.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think that's been a topic of discussion on the forums as well.
Yeah, because of every single thing that they changed, the Hellflyers, the Maggot Broods, the Sand Dwellers, they remove rockworms, ghosts start on the map and don't fly through walls. But what's the one thing that they didn't change? Armored destroyers. They will still fall out of the sky and one-shot you if you're not paying attention. And I have a heart attack every time that I see them. So, just venting frustration there. Why they did not change them, I do not know.
Indeed.
Just for you.
Yeah.
Well, I'll grab the next point then, since I screwed up that one. Electrified got nerfed.
Yay!
That's all I got on. I was
Do you
happy
know how
about
it got
that.
nerfed?
I believe it does less damage now.
Oh, Archon. It's all a test for you now. They added a little internal cooldown to Electrified now, so it doesn't spew out as many of the bolty things per hit.
Yep.
There you go.
So there you go. But I did want to talk about, too, with the Greater Rift trial balancing, there was also a further hotfix to that, where they made it so that going for the trials with a party was going to have less of an impact on the level of the Greater Rift keystone that you got from it. So it was going to be harder, essentially, to generate high-level keystones by, what most people are doing were abusing the amazing power of DHs and, forming a party with 3 of them and themselves, and then going and letting the DHs lay down their traps. Maybe you have a monk with, permanent serenity to keep you safe. And just generating these 40 level 41, 42, 43 Greater Rift keys. Now it's actually for 4 players. Whatever wave you get to is -6. So now if you wanted to generate a level 41 key, you have to get up to 47. And it declines by 1 for each less party member. So in a 3-party, you get the wave that you cleared -5. That's the level key you get. So a 35 would give you a 30. In a 2-player, it's -4. So a 34 would give you a 30, and then by yourself, it's -3.
And yeah, on the same note, before they had nerfed it, Leviathan, you called it conduit farming, but it looked like most of the people getting those high greater rifts were relying on the conduit pylons.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. A lot of the variants in the leaderboards, and you'll see these times people come through and clear a Greater Rift 40 and it's in 12 minutes or something. A lot of those were coming from people, especially for barbs too, because some of the barbs, are having a really hard time since they don't have that second life, for hardcore anyways. They don't have that second life mechanic to keep them alive, so them dying loses a lot of time in softcore, of course, and a permanent amount of time in hardcore. So a lot of their best clears were coming from finding these conduits, going and killing other stuff in the Greater Rift to get just enough to get close to spawning the Rift Guardian, going back to the vicinity of the conduit, and then killing some stuff there, spawning the Greater Rift Guardian, and then conduit, it's gone.
What would you guys think about if they just removed pylons from the Greater Rifts?
100% agree. It needs to happen in Season 2.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's just way too much luck involved in Greater Rifts right now.
Yeah, because it really is. You take something that already is so RNG dependent upon your layout, the actual mobs that spawn, the density of the mobs themselves, the combination that they come in, what roles you get, how many elite packs you have, and all this other types of stuff. And then, hey, let's throw shrines in there too. There's already so many levels of RNG that it's one more thing that they have control of that they can remove and reduce that RNG, but it's still there, sadly.
Yeah, yeah. We were actually talking on Twitter, a couple of people in the community, and one person was arguing for just having greater rifts being static, like the original idea, for the tower thing when Wyatt introduced it. Two players would go through the same exact map, and it would be like a race to see who was more efficient through it. My argument against that was it becomes less about player skill and like adapting to spontaneous situations, which you get with some of that pack RNG and like not knowing exactly which mobs you're going to get, not knowing exactly which map you're going to get. But too much RNG does indeed make it so that luck becomes, favored. And I think if you can control the level of the RNG, like both of you guys were just saying, taking out things that completely throw it off skew, like pylons, I think that makes for a much more tasty, competitive atmosphere.
Yeah, for sure. I really like that two tower idea. I think you could still do it random too, if you just had it so that you queued up at the same time. Each group got a random map, and then the next time they went through it is a different random map.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah, one thing that I want to throw out that I've been kind of thinking about and mulling over and trying to put together an article for is, did any of you watch the DreamHack Open this last weekend?
No.
For Hearthstone, I did, because they had the
right.
EU championships.
Yeah, because they were running Hearthstone, they were running World of Warcraft arenas, and of course StarCraft 2. And it was this big road to BlizzCon, and get in the hype, get in the competition and such. And like the first time they actually did have a Diablo streamer there, just going and playing, and they were promoting the stream and such, but there was no competitive element. There was nothing to like get around and rally and watch, and no drama or storyline or anything like that. It's just some guy running Torment 6 rifts and greater rifts. And it just kind of got me thinking, what is it that they could do in Diablo to kind of give that competitive aspect to it? Now, obviously there's PvP, but that's going to be some nebulous concept off, infinity that we probably shouldn't be even talking about or getting our hopes up. But I was just started to think of some of the things that they could take what the game is about right now and turning it into something that they could make like truly competitive. And they can take the Greater Rift formula and actually make it kind of a race. Now, it would take a little bit of development time, and it would actually make it so that way they'd have to like handcraft a couple of levels, both the layout and the spawns, and then have like a competition of people to go through and play it. This wouldn't really work on the actual live servers themselves because you'd be able to learn the layout and then just practice it down. But just imagine this: if you have, say, like 8 of the top players or whatever that go through and run a rift, but they have no idea what it is. They all run the same rift with the same mob spawns and such, but they have no idea what it is that they're going to get themselves into. And so whoever is able to go and clear it the fastest. And we're not talking about like just trying to clear a 15-minute rift. Let's make it huge. Let's make it like a 20-minute rift or something along those lines that is difficult, or it has a couple of different levels and it scales in difficulty to each level. You might be able to go through and clear level 1 really quickly because it's something along the lines of Greater Rift 20, but by the time you get down to the end at 40 or level 4 or whatever, it's like Greater Rift 40 or Greater Rift 35. You obviously have to balance it to the classes, but it's something that you could actually like handcraft an experience that makes it so people have like that competitive aspect to it, and it's just kind of something fun that fans can go through and watch and cheer on for your favorite player, that who can clear through the fastest or who can handle it, and and remove all the RNG from it.
Yeah, I really like that idea. That's like the two tower idea that I guess really similar to what Wyatt Chang threw out before.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's easy to do. I find it hard to believe that the devs haven't thrown at least a very similar idea out there. I could throw out another idea for what I was thinking of PvP. Because I agree. I think traditional PvP is hard, if not impossible, to do. With a tremendous amount of balancing, they could make it work. But the question then becomes: is it worth the dev time? And so my vision would be: you have two teams, maybe 4 people on each team, on opposite side of a long, we'll say, horizontal map. And in the center, mobs are spawning kind of like they do in the Realm of Trials and going towards each team. But unlike the Realm of Trials, each round would last much longer. You know, maybe mobs come at you for 5 minutes. It might be based on how many mobs you killed. Could do it either way. And you're just trying to survive. If someone on your team dies, they're dead for the rest of the round. If your whole team dies, the other team wins. After each round, each person on the team will have collected an amount of gold based on the kills they got. That gold could be spent on either sending more powerful mobs to your teammates the next round, or on buying buffs for maybe individual buffs, maybe group buffs to help your team do better. So if you're feeling really confident, maybe you make it harder for them. If you're feeling like you almost died that time, maybe you get some buffs for yourself. And then it just keeps going. Each wave's a little bit harder until one team dies. And you can do a matchmaking system, so you get matched with, people of similar win-loss ratio to you.
Have you ever played a custom map in StarCraft 2 called Squadron TD?
I'm a huge STD fan. And I am talking about StarCraft.
I was just about to say, that's what it exactly reminded me of.
Yeah. I think it's Hero Line Wars from Frozen Throne is very similar, and I think there's actually a lot of custom maps from Frozen Throne and StarCraft 2 that could adapt well into Diablo, but I think that's just one example that I think could work really well.
I love that, yeah. Or didn't you, I think you had an idea one time too, where like kind of the same concept, monsters are coming at both teams, and like the ones that you killed would get sent to the other side, so it was just like a battle of who could kill the mobs faster, and they're powering up as they go back and forth and stuff like that.
Yeah, that was originally, it was a map called Rabbits versus Sheep from Frozen Throne. Every time you kill one mob, it spawned 2 mobs for the other team. And you're just trying to overpower the other team. Tons of, I think that's first place to look for cool PvP ideas, but I don't think there's a shortage of good ideas. I think the devs are probably already playtesting a lot of these kind of ideas and just trying to figure out which ones are going to work the best.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Nice little theorycraft session there.
Yeah. All sounds awesome to me.
Yeah, I think the devs would be kind of foolish to not come out with something that they could call PvP, or something that they could say this takes the place of PvP, with how much the community is demanding it.
Yeah, and a good spot for us to actually hear about like what their thoughts are and such is, of course, BlizzCon coming up. We've got that. Literally now it's almost a month away. It's just shy of 30 days now.
It's crazy.
Yeah, and we've been hearing some comments from Josh about wanting to go through, and that the dev team is open to doing like a state of Diablo, like a little presentation on where Diablo is and where it's heading, and that's more of the kind of the conversations that I'm expecting to come from BlizzCon. I don't really think that we're going to see anything about an expansion. We'll probably see maybe some more information about when Season 1's going to end, things that they have in store for Season 2, Patch 2.2. We might see some concepts that they have for the new class sets that they've been mentioning a lot lately, that they've been wanting to do with seasons. Things of that nature is what I'm expecting from this year's BlizzCon.
I think you're right, but I think you're selling them a little short. I think we're going to get something big. Something more than just, this is what we're thinking for the next season or the next patch. I think something along the lines of what we were just talking about, some new kind of game mode, I think they'll bring up.
Well, that could, both of you could be right, and that could be 2.2, the next big content patch.
No, yeah, you could tie it in.
But yeah, I kind of envision those ideas being sort of when Josh went on stage and was like, "Here's the new Loot 2.0." Like that was a big reveal of where the game was going to go, kind of what the new mindset was, what his vision was going to be for kind of redesigning the game. Not from the ground up, but from what we had previously. I could see something like that transpiring on stage.
Expecting some sort of big drop the mic moment. Yeah. Literally the entire, like, the only thing, just imagine this, that the only thing that they have to show at BlizzCon this year for Diablo 3 is, like, we're bringing PvP in 2.2. That's it.
That's all they'd have to do, right?
That's all they'd have to do. The world would go crazy.
Drop the mic.
Yeah. You know what it's going to be? It's going to be, we're introducing a new layout to the greater rifts. Done. Cesspools 2. That's all you get.
Nice.
Trolling.
Wait till next BlizzCon.
And speaking of BlizzCon, we actually did see a preview of the goodies that you'll get if you get the virtual ticket.
Yes, that we did. That we did.
And go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say the Diablo-specific goodies seem to be in the form of transmogrification. Are you guys excited about this?
I actually am. Really? It's compared to what we got from last year's BlizzCon, which was just, a banner. Banner icon that said BlizzCon. Yeah, not that great. And obviously they had the wings thing. They could have done something along those lines, but that's kind of getting overdone, and you can only have one. But I think the weapon transmog idea is actually really awesome because it's something that you can show off on your character, something that you can kind of build around. And from what the things that they've showed, it all looks pretty cool. I enjoy it.
All right, you kind of convinced me.
You make a good point. That barb hammer does look really cool.
Yeah, because go through and you compare it to what the other ones get. Before Diablo got the worst thing, even worse than, like, the StarCraft 2 portraits. You got a banner, which literally no one sees, and now we're actually getting something that you can show off and other people can see, and something about your character. Whereas, because you're just getting, like, card backs or portraits and things along those lines. Nothing really, like, super stellar, but I think it's cool.
Yeah. Touche.
It actually kind of works in a synergistic manner with some of the other stuff that they're putting in, like leaderboards, like things that make your character more visible, because people are going to see you, at the top of the leaderboard and like, ooh, I wonder what Gary's wearing, and you're all transmogged out in, like, your BlizzCon, set or whatever. And some of as the seasons go on, some of the seasonal transmog too. So it could be a cool way to, once all those things ball together, you're a baller. You see what I did there?
I see what you did.
Yeah, I like it. I like
that, yeah. And if you don't play Diablo 2 yet, I think now's the time to buy it. 50% off.
Because, 14 years after Diablo 2's release, you should definitely pick it up.
Both of you guys have said Diablo 2.
That's the only reason why I had to go and get him back, because he called me on mine. I got to call him on his.
No, I appreciate it. I was talking about Diablo 2. I think now's the time you should.
There's all these great new features in D3, but let's go play D2.
You gotta. I'm all about the story. I'm all about the lore, and I think that you got to start with Diablo 2 so you know the story before you get into D3.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
I'm not buying it from you, Archon. I'm not buying it.
But in addition to Diablo 2, Diablo 3 and Reaper of Souls are also both on sale right now.
Yeah.
People have been using this new sale to spawn and give some credence to their theory that we might get X-Pack announcement at BlizzCon, the next expansion, because they're dropping the price here to get more people to buy and buff up their sales for the quarter or whatever, and then all of a sudden, boom, expansion, like, really go buy now. I don't know.
There is a little bit of merit to it, but normally this is something that they've done after the expansion has already been announced and you're getting closer to its release date, or once it's in beta. They'll go through and be like, pick up the game now. Because you saw that they did that with Diablo 3. It went on sale for 50% off, like a month before Reaper of Souls came out. So, I mean, there is a little bit of credence that you can give to that, but I don't think that that's the case. I still do not expect an announcement at BlizzCon of the expansion. I would love to be wrong, but I'm not expecting it.
I am in another boat. I would be upset if we got an announcement about an expansion. because I would feel a little shortchanged for. Because if they're announcing the expansion now, that means they're working on the expansion now, which means they're putting less work into patches, which means we're paying more money for the content we're getting.
Yeah, well, I would actually be surprised if at this point they're not already working on the expansion.
No, yeah, touche. But but I hope they're also planning at least a few more content patches before the expansion.
Yeah.
I don't know where I sit on that. I can see both of your guys' points. I don't know. I'll just be happy to be at BlizzCon for the first time, and I'll be seeing whatever I can see. I'll go with that route.
The only thing that you're going to be seeing is movies, because I want to fill all the fans in on if Leviathan has one flaw, it's that he has like no pop culture reference experience whatsoever, and this man is missing like a million of the greatest movies ever. So that's
Leviathan. You're taking a bullet for me because I was the one that never got the references. And now,
oh god damn it! I am chaining you both in a hotel room, and that is the end of it.
I see the movies and then I forget everything about them. Is the
well, at least you make it to the movie. I just I don't know what I do. I just miss it all. I'm sorry.
Nineball, the fact that it's okay. Sorry. You're sorry. Sorry that Leviathan's so sorry about this. Nineball, the fact that you've seen so many movies makes me question how hardcore of a gamer you really are. I think.
Ooh. Return shots fired.
Ah, dang. Stung. That stung a little bit.
Had to throw it out there. Leviathan's been playing D3 like a crazy person. I thought I played a lot of D3 back in the day, but Leviathan's putting all of us to shame since patch 2.1 came out.
A new fire inside of me.
Yeah.
But it's not being made by a furnace. I'm still missing the gosh darn furnace. One of these days.
Right.
But I'll actually be right back. You guys hop into something sweet.
Okay.
All right then. Well, let's see. I think we've covered a lot of the big news points. Unless we want to, there's one other thing that we did want to talk about, but Leviathan was one of the ones with the strongest opinions on it. So it feels bad to start that conversation with him not here.
That's right, yeah. He kind of was filling us in on it, so he should probably be the one to introduce it. So I think we should just talk about World of Warcraft for the next 15 minutes. I just want to upset as many of the viewers as possible.
I guess the one thing that I can speak to on World of Warcraft is tomorrow I am actually doing a raid, and it is going to be the first time that I have legitimately played World of Warcraft since May.
Wow. You doing Siege of Orgrimmar?
Yes, because a friend of mine who stopped raiding and missed a Pandaria, has come back because Warlords of Draenor has gotten him like re-excited about the game and such, and he wants to clear Siege of Orgrimmar before 6.0, so that way he gets the title and the mount and whatever else the stuff is. I don't even remember anymore. But yeah, that's just what he wanted to do. So he managed to wrangle me back in, with that whole friendship guilt thing. So
well, if you wait till after 6.0, guaranteed chance that you get the heirloom weapon.
Yes, but you'll lose out on the chance of getting the mount and the title.
Mount and title. You and your vanity stuff.
Not me, it's him.
By you, I mean like all the other gamers of the world other than myself. I'm just alienating myself. It's just spreadsheets and numbers to me.
Yeah.
Mounts don't make my numbers go higher.
Let's see. There were some other stuff that we can go and talk about.
Yeah.
About the game. Let's see. Just trying to go through and find it.
We're lost without Leviathan. This is why we needed them on the show.
We had a good flow going on and everything, and then he's just, hey guys, I gotta go.
Don't let Leviathan watch this week's episode. We gotta let him think that we just handled it great once he left.
Yeah. Let's see. There was we did miss the Play Your Way Thursday last week.
Oh, okay.
And wanting to go through and have it was based around using channeled spells.
I'm sorry I missed it, but you go ahead. You got this.
Yeah, basically it's just like kind of like a wizard build that was going through and They wanted to make a Void Ray from StarCraft in Diablo.
Yeah.
So it was all about going through and using, I believe it was Ray of Frost, and was their big one. Is he back?
I'm back.
Yeah.
All right,
Leviathan, we did a great job while you were gone.
What have you been talking about?
We did not talk about World of Warcraft.
All the things. Oh man.
Good thing I missed that, because I would not have been able to contribute anything.
Yes.
Did you guys see that invisible Rift Guardian bug?
I did
Heard
not.
about it.
There's a YouTube video of a Crusader fighting an invisible Izul. I can't remember what his name is in the Rifts right now.
Cold Snap.
Yes, invisible Cold Snap, which sounds very scary if you're playing hardcore.
Yeah, well, was he himself invisible,
Yeah.
or was his graphics also invisible? Because I'm not too scared of him. I'm scared of the giant, frost circles he places on the ground.
Yeah, you could see the frozen orbs,
Okay.
but you could not see him.
Yeah, that would make it slightly difficult trying to kill him, but yeah.
This is true. Yeah, if that ever happened on the one that's the big, oh my goodness, Nineball, you literally just told me the name of this mob, the one with the big hammers smashes you on the head.
The Golgors.
No, the other guys, big hammers smash you on the head.
Sledgehammer guy.
Yeah,
that's it.
The
That's
sledge fist, the hammer fiends.
Yeah, it's hammer time.
Yeah, stop. Hammer time.
If those guys got invisible, that would just be the end of your day.
Or imagine the I forgot his name, but the Executioner, the one that just does the jumps back and forth. All down.
Bloodmaw, is that what it is?
I think Bloodmaw, yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So yeah, Leviathan, we had one more point, but we thought you should be the one to introduce it.
The contention about some of the top Rift performances.
Oh, yes. So, I mean, for me as a player right now, Archon was just talking about how I've been slinging together these insane amounts of hours in game, with seasons dropping in 2.1 in particular, and that for me has really been kind of what I've been waiting for in Diablo in order to get just insanely into the hours, the min-maxing, all of it, because the competition was finally here. The leaderboards were something to chase, and I was very interested in trying to become like top 3 Crusader in hardcore for the season. And now there's all this controversy and people who have come out on the forums and actually stated that they are using add-ons and all sorts of other products and things to help them cheat the system. And help them attain greater rift levels that they claim they have no business defeating, simply because they're finding better density than a normal player. They're finding elite affixes before they even have to engage those packs, and being able to gauge the danger before you put yourself in mortal peril, and being able to say this path to the left is better than the right because I know exactly how many mobs are to the left and how many are to the right. Those are huge advantages in a time-based system where all of your progress, all of your success is based on the fastest time. So right now it's really putting a black mark, a mar on the results of the leaderboards, and if they even matter anymore this season, just because so many exploits and things are getting through. And Blizzard has been relatively silent. I know a lot of this stuff just came out recently, so maybe they're gearing up to make a statement. But it really feels as if a lot of these things are not being caught, and now they're just finally being found out. And putting season 1 very much in the bracket of this is a test season. Like, you can't really even justify, going around on the forums after the season's done saying, I was, number 1 Crusader. It's like, yeah, but can I even trust that your results are the real results? And even though I know in my heart I'm playing legitimately, I know my results will always be questioned because anyone who's at the top is going to be considered having done something suspect. It really sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Touche.
And the worst part is you can't tell, from what we've learned about it, because of the way that XSplit or OBS work. They could be streaming using these cheats, and you don't even know.
Yeah. And yeah, that's the thing too, is that you're not required to record your best clear. You're not required to show it, and even if you did show it, like you just said, it's overlays. It's overlay based, so it's not even like then people who watch your screen or your play will see it. It's
Yeah.
I don't know. And then the thing that I think really sucks too is that these things will happen. Like, I'm not even sure there will ever be a season without someone coming up with some way to cheat the system, because people are always looking for, the shortest shortcut to the top. So it almost gets down to the point where it's like, can we ever truly have competition in Diablo? Like, will it always have this question mark over it of whether this is legit or not?
To a certain extent, I think with just how advanced botting and all the other types of cheats and stuff out there have gotten, it could always be a question, but I don't know. I don't know if it's enough to like really go through and massively discount it, but I don't know.
Yeah, and I think Alienationer makes a good point too. With Leviathan only sleeping 2 hours a night, can we really count his results as legit? Because that's giving him an unfair advantage over us that sleep a respectable amount of hours each night.
Listen, life hacks are totally okay.
Where do we draw the line, though? I think it's getting kind of fuzzy.
This is true. Listen, if you want, so you guys were talking about WoW while I was gone. Well, if you really want to look at it, I'm just a warlock who's using, like life tap and all the things that are harmful to my body to gain an advantage for damage.
I understood that reference.
That spoke to me.
I too play a warlock.
There you go. There you go.
No, yeah, I mean, it'd be nice if Blizzard could identify the people that are using add-ons, but it doesn't look like they've been able to. Not that you should use add-ons. They will find you. Don't do it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there could be, it's always been that weird us versus them when people were originally talking about vanilla Diablo 3 and saying like, why don't you just let us be able to mod this game? Like, we can improve it. We're trying to tell you all these great ideas. We have mock-ups in the forums, and it seems like you're just not taking our say and implementing it into the game. And then, of course, as the months and the years went by, the community team and the dev team became far more receptive to a lot of that feedback, but we never got those mod tools. We never really got okays to change the game or the client or anything like that. And I still don't know, like, if I would ever want them to, because it just lends more room for, the return of like what were those items called, like white rings and duped SOJs and all that stuff from D2.
Well, basically, if I understand it correctly, it's just them giving out the game data that they want the add-on makers to use and restricting the data that they don't want add-on makers to use. For example, right now, there's no support for like a damage meter because there's no combat log. There's nothing that's like actually tracking the damage going out. So they'd have to add in some data, but also they'd probably want to restrict data, like where's the biggest mob density this way or that way. So I think it has something to do with dev time, but I think also it being a casual game, they don't want it to turn into World of Warcraft. Where right now, if you want to play endgame World of Warcraft, here's the list of the 5 or so add-ons you have to have just to be competitive. That being said, I think it'd be awesome if they allowed damage meters or other simple add-ons that didn't give you a significant advantage, but allowed you to gauge how well your character's doing.
What's interesting? So two things from that. Sorry, I'm talking so much, but just some things are coming to mind. One thing in particular, it almost feels like the same issue of the auction house and shutting that down, and also then going and saying we're going to make items bind on account, because it cuts out that third party aspect where you can go and buy gold from third party vendors, or you can go and buy items from third party vendors. It helps a majority of players stop from getting duped or their accounts compromised, things like that. Like, I remember, if you guys remember, early on there was so much of like, oh, I got my account hacked, and they were like, get authenticators, and that problem has pretty much gone away. So a lot of accounts are pretty safe at this point. And if you had a lot of these, like, go get your add-ons to help, it could be some nefarious individuals out there that put out these add-ons that are supposed to be the best for your improved gameplay, and they're just stealing your info with keyloggers and things like that. So that's something to be aware of. But another thing, actually, that I just thought of I've been locally recording some of my greater rifts now and almost using them as like replays to coach myself of like, okay, I got into this situation with this pack. Here's how I handled it. How could I have done it better? So in a way that feels like an add-on, right? Because it's something that the game doesn't essentially let you do. But if you stream or something like that, you can always watch a replay of yourself playing. And so in a way, like, it almost is like, where do you draw the line?
Yeah.
That's back to some other thing that we talked about in earlier episodes, the Final Fantasy VII, the Golden Saucer. When you're doing the snowboarding game, and you got the little Mog ahead of you as your little ghost showing you what your previous time is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that'd be a pretty cool way to challenge yourself. There's like another mode. Yeah, we're talking about with like time trials on Mario Kart as well.
Yeah, with the ghost. Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would. I mean, even if they don't want to allow add-ons, I would love it if they just had some kind of target dummy system. They ended up adding that in Marvel Heroes. It's just like a separate room you can go into where you can, try out different builds and see which one's doing more damage without having to do GOM tests over and over again and, hoping you're getting the math right.
Yeah.
True. Yeah.
Because, I mean, that's the biggest thing I love about damage meters in WoW is I can see like, oh, that fight I did more than the last fight. I guess the change I made worked out, and it helps you improve your playstyle and your rotation a lot faster when you know which fights you're being the most efficient on.
That's true. Or even like testing the mechanics of certain skills. If you're going in, you're saying, okay, if I have this, skill that's a cooldown skill, is this going to put out more damage over time versus this skill that I can spam, but I have resource issues, things like that you get to gauge as well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I guess in a way, greater rifts do allow us to do that. If there was less luck in the greater rifts, then it'd be a lot easier to test one build to another.
Yeah.
Maybe we wouldn't need a system like that.
Yeah. One thing at least that you can kind of tell, from the greater rifts is just how like the different classes are doing compared to one another.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is really great for the developers to be able to balance classes based on the greater rift results.
Mm-hmm. And of course, then obviously going and seeing, some of that like transparency between hardcore and softcore, like barbarians, I believe, in softcore have like some of the best clears, some of the best solo clears out of all classes, and then they're one of the worst performing in hardcore because the build just doesn't work with the amount of survivability that you need.
Yeah, I love that actually. I love that you can see the complete difference in the modes just from, those results right there. It's really cool. And it kind of helps beg some questions too of like, okay, so do we now need to give barbs a second life? Is this like the next route to bring them in line with other classes, or are we just okay with them, being behind? Well, not even like, are we okay with them being behind, but are we just okay with them being that different that they have to find a different way to play, a different set to use perhaps?
Yeah. Or maybe like one of the things that you see a lot in hardcore is just the Chrome's bracers. Maybe they need to add in another item, for it is. I'll go ahead and claim ignorance here. I don't know that much about barbarians, but I don't know if there's a particular in order to do like these leap quick builds or the whatever is taking them through the greater rifts at the highest that they can right now. Is there something that they could address through an item to help increase their survivability?
Yeah, well, when you think about things that exist in the game, like an Ancestor's Grace, for instance, that gives you an extra life in hardcore, and it's a hardcore-only item, right? That could be something along the road of what you're talking about, too. Or even if it's designed within a set that's specifically for that class that seems to have that issue. Like, they just give the Barbs a survivability set, kind of rolls in maybe some of the protections of Blackthorns, but also provides for damage, too, because in order to wear Blackthorns as any other class, you're trading off some of that survivability for some damage, and obviously not wearing like what is considered to be a best in slot set. But what if they roll those things into, some of the similar ideas that you get from the IK set or from the Raycore set could be really powerful for a Barb.
Yeah, it's nice. Are we ready to get into some community feedback for the week?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Well, I could start off with this one from Shepard. 1841, he said, hey guys, do you think Blizzard will run community buffs at the start of every new season and try to help encourage participation? Beside the usual golden experience bonuses, do you think we could see new bonuses such as something like 50% increase applied to legendary gem upgrades? What kind of other buffs might Blizzard offer? And I think that's a really cool idea. I think the buffs work out for Blizzard, getting people back into the game that might have gotten out of it for a while. Sometimes you can get burnt out, but after taking a break, be surprised by how much you enjoy it again, and that kind of encourages people to do that. But yeah, I agree. I think we could see some more interesting buffs. I like that idea with the legendary drop with legendary gems. I think the treasure goblin buff was really popular. I think it'd be cool if we got some buffs that like straight up just gave your character more power. Like the first few days, 50% increase
flat damage
or something. Yeah, just something just really fun. Maybe it's broken, but it only lasts a couple days, and it's something that not only increases the amount of gear you're getting, but also makes the gameplay feel different.
Yeah, that could be cool. I wonder also if I think a buff like that, like a weekend buff where you get anything, right, like damage or gems or any sort of extra stuff. I think they're going to work very well at the beginning of the season because that's when you'll have the biggest density of players like rushing the gate to get in. But you get into these instances where, A, we don't know how long the season is, first of all. So if you put a weekend buff in, if some player, this is going to be 3 months long, so I'm going to take a vacation, for this week, and they miss that buff, is it fair for the rest of the season for them to be behind because they missed that one weekend, So it gets into those sticky stitches.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that could be scary. Yeah, it could be, maybe towards mid-season. They want to get people that have fallen out of the season run back into it.
Yeah.
I guess, I mean, they could do it too. I think the biggest thing that they would have to do, and it's kind of one of the biggest criticisms I have right now, is just more future notice. I know they like to do a lot of things like when they're very certain, and being certain means being closer to the release of something. But a buff, I think, is something you can plan out a month ahead. Like, we're gonna mark somewhere in the middle of a season that we're gonna do a buff. Like, tell us about it, 2-3 weeks before, so we can plan accordingly.
Yeah. They could also do something along the lines of just, I think the kind of like the opener, like a buff in the opener of the season, like they did this time with something just as simple as the gold buff that helps you get all of your crafters or your artisans fully leveled up, and have kind of like a closer, maybe doing like a 50% XP buff. It's like get that paragon level that you're striving for. Hit that goal. Put in your hours at the end to try and get past your little finish line or whatever goal that it is that you've set for yourself. Is having a small buff for the opening just help out.
I like that.
Yeah, I apologize to listeners. My connection wonky, so it's cutting out, but it's I think it's still good enough to continue on.
All right. Should I take the next question?
Sure.
All right. Or the next feedback, I should say. I wanted to take this because we were just talking about barbarians previous to jumping in here. So I want to get back to the barbs real quick. And I have a question from Jahan, who also goes by Johan, or Johan, I suppose. He says, "Hey guys, I have a lot of questions. I'll snap. One of them is for Nineball, so I'll just leave that for him. Very first part is about pets and the barbarians. So he was wondering if the ancients are considered as pets, which the answer to that is yes. And so he asks if the legendary enforcer gem grants your pets 15%. Does that work for them? It does. Would Tasker and Theo work? Yes, that also works too. So if you want to go for a pet build, you would probably want to get your IK 3-piece. And I say 3-piece because you would use the Ring of Royal Grandeur. You would take the weapon, the belt, the helm, or something like that, and then put your Tasker and Theo on your gloves, and then you'd be good to go with your Call of the Ancients lasting for almost ever, and those guys just doing a ton of damage. It's a viable build for hardcore, I believe. And he asks then for just a little bit of help with his barbarian because he's he wants to move up to T6, and he's having some issues in T5, just not having great kill speed. I quickly went over his gear before we started, and he's using a Leap Quake build, which is a strong build. But there is a lot of improvement in his gear. For the most part, it looks like he's very survival based. Rolling a lot of things for life per hit, life per second, any sort of mitigation that he can get. But he's not wearing Unity with his follower and with himself. So I think one big major improvement you can make to your Barb is eventually taking that restraint that you have for a ring, because you have to keep that Ring of Rogue Grander. Take the restraint off, get a Unity, and then get another Unity. And I'm saying like, oh, just get a Unity. Obviously, they're tough to come by.
Yeah.
But it'll
so simple.
Just go get one.
Yeah, no big deal. Pick one up from your local store.
I need to take that advice.
But I think once you do that, you'll then be able to re-roll or use different pieces that you might be saving, and transition over into more offensive pieces. Because once the Unity just gives you so much mitigation, you won't need as much on your gear. I think it's still good that you're using Ogchilds though, because we got the chest and the bracers here with the Ring of Rogue Grander. So yeah, I mean, you're doing the right things. Just rebalance once you can get into the Unity setup.
Yeah, I like that.
I guess to take it over for me, I'll to follow up with his same email there, because he did have a lore question, and continuing on the trend with the barbarians, he wanted to know who was Bull Kathos. Was he a tribal leader or a Nephilim, and was he some sort of barbarian god? And the answer is he was a Nephilim. He was the precursor to the barbarian people themselves. They all take after him. That's why they're all 7 foot tall and gigantic compared to everyone else on the planet. And so to the barbarians, he was their god. He was their progenitor. So it's in that respect, he kind of was the creator of the barbarians, somewhat, or at least they're his offspring. And then he also wanted to know, was Wursuk and Bull Kathos connected in any way? And that question comes from the Immortal Kings set. Because previously, the Immortal Kings in Diablo 2 made all its references to... But in the new Immortal Kings in Diablo 3, all talks about Wursuk.
Sorry, what was the reference from Diablo 2? It cut out there for a second.
The reference from the Immortal Kings set was to Bull Kathos in Diablo 2, but in Diablo 3 it's Warrusk. Warrusk, Worusk. I'm horrible at pronouncing
right
things.
To me.
Yeah, looks good.
Warrusk. And this was actually a question that, kind of a friend of ours, Thunderclaw, he's big in the community as well, asked at last year's BlizzCon during one of the lore panels. And what it is that he was a ancient barbarian chieftain who, was able to put the clans together and lead them on massive, crusades and kind of revitalize the barbarian people. And he was such an indomitable, chieftain that they gave him the title of Immortal King. He was the only person to have lived since Bull Kathos that could actually take the title of Immortal King, or was worthy of that succession. And so that's their connection in the lore.
Yeah, pretty awesome. Did you see Thunderclaw in chat there?
Oh yeah. Hey, what's going on, Thunderclaw?
Said I asked this question at BlizzCon.
That you did.
That's why Nineball's answer was so good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Perfect timing. I can take the next one if you were done wrapping that one up. Yeah. We got this from Terry Kluke, who I apologize. We've been calling him Terry Clucky, but he called us out, Kluke. And first he wanted to say it does take a little while for the episodes to get on iTunes. Usually it doesn't take too long. Nineball's really fast with it. It takes a while for the export process and the upload process, but Nineball gets it right away. Recently, though, there has been some trouble with the Twitch exporter. We apologize. It should be up within a few days in the future. But but he also had an idea. Oh, sorry. Did you have something to add there?
Yeah, the only thing I wanted to add is the goal is pretty much always we get the episode itself uploaded to YouTube, usually the night of the live cast. but it's normally that actually goes live after I've already gone to bed, and I don't get a chance to upload it till I get home the next day. So normally you'll expect the episode to go live on Thursday, though, like he was saying, some issues, push that back, especially like last episode, which was, that was a lot of issues trying to get that one uploaded.
Yeah, mostly my fault too. I won't get into it, but I kept forgetting, so I apologize there. But he also had an idea that I thought was really cool. He was talking about how, and this of course is only going to apply to very hardcore Diablo players, but some people get geared enough where T6 becomes not that challenging, and people can just clear through T6, and maybe there's an opportunity here for them to add a T7 or a T8. And his idea was maybe unlock additional difficulties based on how far you've cleared in the Greater Rifts. So maybe once you get to Greater Rift level 28, he says, you unlock Torment 7. You get to rank 32 as an example, you unlock Torment 8. And of course it would scale like the other difficulties. I think that's a pretty cool idea.
You know what?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I was just going to say, I actually realized that I did some plagiarism here because I was talking about this on stream. I was streaming Diablo maybe like 3 days ago, and someone was asking if legendary gems kind of upset the balance of things, and I said, yeah, what we could do is add like extra torment levels, and I thought it was a great idea, and I couldn't remember like if I had thought it up or so all credit to Mr. Kluki here, because I totally like just cribbed that idea, and everyone's like, that's a great idea. I was like, yeah, good idea.
Well, I do kind of like how it interconnects the game modes to one another. The one thing that I always thought, would be cool is if they just added in, like, instead of calling it Torment 7, they changed it and made it like Armageddon 1 or Apocalypse 1. And it's like a new difficulty setting that just raises the bar even more, and they can throw in, if 2.2 comes out and they add in new items. Of those, you have to play not only the season, but you also have to play the new difficulty level in order to get the items to drop there. Like how they have Torment-only legendaries, have Apocalypse-only legendaries.
I think that's awesome, and I think hardcore players would love it. But it doesn't seem like the kind of thing that the devs would do, because they seem to like to appease the casual players as much as possible as well.
Yeah, it could always be something that they save for like an expansion, just because if you have a time when you add in a large influx of new items or a new game mode like a talisman or runes or whatever it is that they want to do that greatly increases your power level, would coincide with a greater increase in difficulty.
Yeah, interesting.
I agree.
Yeah, really cool idea.
I should take the next one. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. I am going to go and take it away. I actually saw this question being asked in oh man, I'm losing my train of thought. Sorry, words are hard.
I am wearing off on you.
A little bit, man, a little bit. We should not be in the same room like we are right now. What was I going to say? So yes, someone was asking about the end of seasons and the transfer of items and all that good stuff, and then we also got a question here on feedback from Crypt Keeper. So I think it's a good time to go ahead and address this. I feel like we kind of touch on it every show, but it's important because a lot of people are wondering, what are they going to do at the end of the season and what's going to happen to all this investment that they're putting in. So he goes and breaks it down thing by thing. He wants to know characters. It is assumed that characters transfer. What he wants to know is what if you don't have enough free slots? And I counter that with, you wouldn't be able to make any seasonal characters if you didn't have the free slots in the first place. So you will never be at an issue where you can't carry your character over from season to non-season, because it won't make a new character in the slot and you keep your old seasonal character. It just transfers the tag. So hopefully that explains that.
Season characters take up the same slots as non-season characters.
Exactly. He wants to know about the items. Okay, so I think he really was thinking that it would just stay a seasonal character and would create like a copy of a non-seasonal, because he was wondering if the character would have their gear moved into their inventory and then that sent with the mail. But obviously, you keep the character, it stays equipped with what it has. Legendary items. Will these transfer via the game mail? Yes. He wants to know about things like legendary potions, follower legendaries, Ramalani's gift. All that stuff will transfer over. It's all considered to be items that you got in the season, and then it will all become mailed to you. So you can pick them, go through your mail and say, I want that Ramalani's gift. I don't want, those 2 yellow pants. I'll take this, I'll take that. So you get to pick and choose. Paragon levels, yes, we do know that the experience that you get, not the levels themselves. So like, let's say you get to Paragon 300 and you were Paragon 200 in non-seasons, you will not be Paragon 500. You'll take that Paragon 300 cumulative experience, whatever it is, like, 500 billion EXP, and then that gets applied to your non-seasonal account. And you'll go up to, I don't know, probably like Paragon 400 and something if you were 200 previously. You want to know about Rift Trial and Greater Rift Keystones. Those will also move as well. They're essentially items. Again, anything that's sort of an item. Gems, which is also another question, those get moved to non-seasons. And he was wondering because he thought you could only have 1 of each legendary gem, but we actually did learn that there are ways to make more of them. For instance, if you go and get the Vault, and you want the extra Boon of the Hoarder, you already have one. This is your second Vault. If you transfer, well, you actually couldn't leave the game, right? Because you would lose the Vault. So what some people have been doing is desocketing their Boon of the Hoarder gem, leaving it on the ground in town, going and killing the Baroness, Greed, and she actually drops another one because it checks to see if it's on your character or if it's in your stash. If it's in town, the game doesn't read it as you owning it, so it makes a new one for you. And that's just that's a pro tip for anyone who may not know that you can have more than 1 gem. So if you want to level up a backup of your Miranai, of your Gogok or Taikuk or whatever, simply muling it away. So don't put it in your stash, don't have it on your character, but put it on the inventory of another character that you're not playing. Go back to the character that you are playing, and you can generate a new legendary gem.
Well, I didn't know that. Do you think, because that doesn't seem intended, do you think
oh no, it is.
Really?
It's so that way you can have an enforcers on your demon hunter as well as your witch doctor.
But why did they make you have to drop it in town? Why not just?
Well, it's not drop. Well, it's not drop it in town. If you actually have the gem equipped on somebody else, then it will drop for you again.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
The only reason to do the drop in town one, it would be for the Boon of the Hoarder, because you can't leave the game and then come back to the Vault.
Yeah. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
All right. Going on to the next question, we've got another lore question here. This one comes in from Razman. He wanted to know a little bit more about the religion in Sanctuary. He wanted to know, in the previous editions, they had the faith, Zakarum, but in Diablo 3, there's a lot of talk about Akarat. It's like, who is he? Did he replace Zakarum? What's his connection to it and such? And Akarat is basically the Jesus of Zakarum. He's the one that actually created and founded the faith of Zakarum, in the history of the game itself. So that way, when people go through and say, praise Akarat, or something along those lines, they're kind of, praising the god of the religion, more or less.
Nice. All right, well, I'll grab this one from Arturo. He said he loves the show, and he says he's actually been listening to our show more than he's playing Diablo 3. And he explains why. I'll try to sum this up as much as possible. Thanks, though. Thanks for watching the show. Glad you're enjoying it, and we can keep you updated, hopefully. But basically, he kind of explains his story, and it's a story that I think we've probably heard a lot if we have friends or read the forums. And if you have friends, you might have heard this story. Friends that play Diablo, that is. But basically, he's hit a wall. And I think a lot of people can relate to this. You progress pretty quickly until you get your 6-piece, then it slows down a bit, and then once, of course, you have all the pieces you want, it slows down a lot more. And so I think a lot of people can get a little burnt out. Some people enjoy, rolling a new character or trying a new build that maybe isn't as efficient but might just change it up for you. But he finished with an idea here that I thought was kind of cool, because he actually hit the wall because he couldn't get his set. He was excited about the set, although a little disappointed that he felt a little pushed into the cookie cutter build. But he was saying, after I've salvaged my 4th or 5th Invoker helmet, which he didn't want, maybe the game could figure out I don't want the Invoker helmet. And I thought, I don't know, how serious he was being here. But I think that's a cool idea. You know, if you salvage a legendary, maybe the chance for you getting that legendary could go down as a way to you know, get the pieces you want instead of the other ones. Because I know most people probably agree. It's put a lot of time. It does get pretty frustrating when you're getting, you know, your 5th or 6th pair of this set that's
or
the same
21st, 23rd pair of Marauders gloves and not a single tasker in Theo. Thank you, RNG. I swear.
Thank you, Orange Jesus.
Yeah, it is a running gag, you know, in the guild now that when you see, you know, Nineball has looted a pair of Marauders gloves. It's a common occurrence. It happens every time that I play. I at least get 2 a night. I'm would never have thought that I'd be sick and tired of getting Marauders pieces.
Yeah, and Dark Trine in chat makes a point. You know, maybe you salvage the item because it didn't have good enough stats, and you're waiting for a better one. And so, you know, maybe it would be an option that you do instead of salvaging. And then, of course, it's probably not the best version of this idea, but I guess the idea overall is maybe give players a little bit of a hand. You know, Kadala already makes it a little bit easier, but maybe for those players that are getting extremely bad luck, like Nineball here, you can give them a little push in the right direction to make sure that there aren't players grinding for hundreds of hours and not able to get that one piece they need.
Exactly. That's cool. I like when you come up with ways to essentially help mitigate RNG, if you will, you know, because sometimes the luck really just isn't in your favor. So if you can take back some of the control from the random rolls and the random item generation and, you know, make it so that it's sort of you feel as if you have a little bit more sway over it, then I think that helps feed the addiction of continuing to play rather than getting frustrated.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I suppose it's my turn to take a feedback.
Yep.
Now I'm going to take a pretty easy one. We have a thingy here from Saber Wolfie, who is a big fan, and he interacts with us on Twitter quite a bit. He starts out with the standard "sup fellas," which I love that's catching on. Everyone is sup fellasing, and it's the best thing ever. Please continue. Continue it. Yeah. Yes, we have Ty Butt to thank for that, of course.
Yeah. Yes.
He just wanted to let everyone know that he brought Westmarch Workshop into the Eastern Hemisphere when he created the EU community Westmarch Workshop for English and British, because I believe they have different languages in Europe. So you have to search by your language as well as the community that you want. But yeah, if you guys want to join up over there, if you're not in the Americas, because we do have a community here on the Americas server, Westmarch Workshop, which has been awesome lately. Like a lot of really cool convos, people just talking about like not even game related stuff, but like there's some like philosophy conversations going on sometimes. Of course, the general linking of items and jealousy and whatnot. But yeah, highly recommend now that we're taking over the globe. We're now in Europe as well, so feel free to stop on by.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then continuing with Sup Fellas, and the reason why Leviathan took that one is because this week I get Ty Bud's feedback because it is yet another lore question. And this one, he wanted to ask about the final path to death. As when you load into Pandemonium Fortress level 3, you're walking down that long pathway to the final portal, and if you look in the background, there's a giant orb, this planet-looking orb with all these souls, going through and being sucked into it. And that, what is it? What is that about? Well, they've not really said too much about what it is, though that is where the final battle itself takes place. And you can actually, if you go back and listen to some of Malthael's lore entries in the Path of Wisdom series that you can pick up while on Pandemonium Fortress, that he's kind of used his focal point in Pandemonium Fortress of where the World Stone used to reside, and that's kind of like where all these human souls are just naturally being drawn to, and that's where he decided to sit and use as like his focal point of drawing in all these human souls into the Black Soul Stone. So that's kind of like the significance of that one little spot. That's where the World Stone used to reside, is that area there.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, that's that brings us to 9 feedback so far. We did get a lot these last 2 weeks. Were there any more you guys wanted to grab before we go to items of the week?
There was. I did want to touch upon the question that we asked in our last episode about the season length, and we got a couple of responses that I wanted to touch on a little bit there. We got some. I do want to go and say that we did get some responses on Twitter, though obviously 140 characters is not a lot to express opinions, and it kind of got summarized as just so that way I know how much time that I need to devote to it.
Sorry, start that. It got summarized as you cut off at that point. I'm sorry.
It could be summarized as I want to know how long seasons are, because I want to know how much time I need to devote to the season.
Yeah, I guess that was our best guess last week when we introduced it.
Yeah, but just going through some of the feedback that we did receive. Some people, we actually had one Siggy went through and said that he's perfectly at peace with Blizzard not releasing the information until when it's actually necessary, so that way he can just kind of he views it as there's no fret or concern with himself of how long it's going to be. Because he's playing the season, just to play the season. He's not trying to go actively for any of the leaderboards or anything like that. So it's just for him, I'm just playing the seasons because I enjoy playing the seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It makes sense. I mean, there will definitely be different viewpoints on whether you need to know or not based on how invested you become in a season, I suppose. Although that isn't even to say that he's not super invested in his season too. You could very well still be invested, but I guess it depends on the goals that you invest in the season as well. So if you want to get to a target Paragon and it takes you about such and such longness of play to get to X amount of levels, then you kind of can extrapolate from there and say, okay, well, I only have 10 hours to play per week. Is my goal actually feasible? Right now, you might not know because you don't know how much longer you have to keep continuing with those 10-hour weeks. And then maybe if you did know, you'd push it to 12 or you'd push it to 14. But then again, if it was long enough, you might say, oh, well, I don't actually need to play this much at all. So you might lower it to 8 or lower it to 6.
Mm-hmm. And that kind of comes up with this is the feedback that we also received from Shepard. He went through and said that he wants to use seasons as playing, like one particular hero, and that, like for season 1, it's like he's playing, he chose strength, so he's focusing a lot on the Crusader and to a slightly lesser extent on the Barbarian, and he wants to know how much time he has because he has like a goal in mind for how he wants to set it up, because he wants to get to the character at a point where I don't need to touch this character. His gear is amazing. I have the build that I want to do, and so if I ever actually want to go back and play like a Crusader, it's already set up. I can switch to non-season and play this Crusader, and it's exactly how I want him. I can just play and have fun. I don't have to worry about grinding or getting to a certain rift or anything like that. And so he wants to know, like, for the season, how long it's going to be, so he knows, do I need to hurry and try and finish this up? Because he doesn't want to feel that he has to go back and play the character during season 2 outside of season to feel that he still needs to tweak it a little bit.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think even beyond all that, there's also just curiosity, right? Like, even if you didn't want to plan your playstyle around it, it's still, I think, killing all of us just that they haven't said anything yet on pure curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of the feedback I was reading is that people were saying shorter seasons and varying seasons, that each season would be a different length.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. I mean, that definitely is a reason not to say, right? Because then they could always keep it different.
Yeah, we were talking before, like, maybe it'd be okay if it was a surprise, as long as they told us ahead of time it's going to be a surprise.
Exactly.
Yep.
Knowing that you won't know, essentially.
Yeah. That is one of those things, season 1 definitely feels like it's a giant test for a lot of things. And, there's certain things that you can't really do on a PTR. You actually just have to have it, live, let it go into the wild and see how it grows.
We're doing it live.
That is Blizzard's motto right now.
Yep. So yeah, definitely. I mean, that's pretty much what I, wanted to touch on before we went through and went on to it. And still, if you have any thoughts on why you want to know how long a season is going to be or when the season will end, please, still send in some questions. We'll go through and take a look at them, continued into next week.
Yeah, definitely. All right, items of the week. Items of the week.
Items of the week.
All right.
We didn't
Items
actually
of the 2
go.
weeks.
Yeah, we didn't actually go over this in the pre-show, so I'm kind of excited to see, what things you picked.
Oh yes, because we got a lot of items. Like I think at least a dozen, and just too many for us to go through. So we even have to leave out some good ones. I apologize, but we grabbed the ones we thought were most worth talking about. Starting off, Nick sent in 2 items that were just outstanding. These Krems buff bracers, Krelms even. That was my not involved pronunciation of
That's
Krelms.
the one item I've gotten right so far.
He adds a letter, you take away. It balances out.
I had to butcher the one you got right. I had to make sure no stone is left unturned.
It's a curse of the shop.
So, perfect fire skill roll, 492 int, 467 vit. He got 4.5 crit, but he hasn't rerolled anything. So, looks like you'll be rerolling that crit to get the 6. And then his Mage Fists he has rerolled, but they're now 20% fire skill, 706 int, 6 attack speed. Rerolled to get the 47 crit damage, and came with the perfect 10 crit chance. Mage Fists don't get much sexier than that.
Nope.
Yeah. If you're on hardcore, I guess it's debatable. You might want Vit instead of attack speed.
Depends on your build. Yeah, I guess I don't know much about the int classes. I don't know if attack speed means anything to them. Though it also would be nice if it had at least a type of resist as a secondary stat, or maybe something along those lines.
Yes, that's true. Okay.
Sure.
All right. Well, next up, Nineball pointed out from the emails this very sexy Calamity from Jason Chow. Almost 3,000 damage on there.
So jelly.
Super sexy.
And we should talk about this because of the revelation of that video, right, Nineball?
Yeah, within the last week, they had one of the highest ranks at the time, had been achieved by a Sun Hunter using a variant of the M6 Sentry build that only used Elemental Arrow, particularly Ball Lightning with the new quiver, meticulous bolts that made it so that way Ball Lightning traveled at 40% speed. And one of the reasons why that has become so popular is because it does so much damage, but you need to get obscene breakpoints for your sentries for it to be shooting out enough to really compete with some of your more traditional sentry builds. But the Calamity is one of those ones because you need the one-handed crossbow with attack speed as well as getting attack speed on everything else, and so this is just beautiful, especially when combined with the secondary bonus because the sentries themselves can proc the Marked for Death, further increasing the amount of damage that you do. So it is obscene on obscene.
Mm-hmm. I guess another variant to that too is Hell Trapper, because that also drops has a possibility to drop sentries, right?
Yeah, that it does, because because you have to use meticulous bolts. You're not using Bombardier's rucksack, so you have 2 fewer sentries, and a lot of the testing has kind of showed that Hell Trapper can average the same as like a Calamity clear speed, but that's averaged over time because you'll have ones where you clear a lot faster because it's dropping sentries every other mob pack, and then you'll have ones that are considerably slower because it never drops the sentry. So, it's one of those ones, if you like to live on the edge, Hell Trapper is for you. If you want more consistency, Calamity is pretty much set that is the best in slot. Calamity is the one that you want to shoot for, it's the one you want to go for. It'll give you the most consistent results.
Nice. Well, next one up, Leviathan can drool over this Blade of Prophecy here.
I'm waiting for it to pop up on screen. I didn't actually look at this one yet.
Yeah, so it has 3811 damage. That's without attack speed on it. So that's just the regular damage was re-rolled, and then it has 10% damage. I can't quite read that strength because the resolution's a little low.
953.
Ah, yes. And reduce cooldown of all skills by 10%, and then of course with the Ramalandi he got the socket in there.
This is
nice.
beautiful. Yeah, this looks exactly like mine. I have a little bit of a little bit more strength, but I got a 6% damage roll, which is the lowest that it can roll instead of that 10. So, but I was rerolling the damage on the base damage on mine too. Oh, I'm jealous. Please give.
Very nice. Yeah, what I heard from Leviathan is like, man, this is a really nice weapon, almost as nice as mine.
I admit it is better.
No surprise Leviathan would have an amazing weapon by now.
Finally.
The next item comes with a story, and maybe Leviathan should tell the story. I think he was on clan chat when it happened.
This was amazing. So last night I was actually playing a little more relaxed than usual, actually, which may be surprising for some of you. But I was kind of just like, farming, but not really into it. I was going to call it an early night because I was feeling pretty tired. And just as I was about to log off, I'm sitting in town, just kind of chatting with some people in the clan and the Westmarch Workshop community. And I get this spam in clan chat from these items that just got picked up. And I see a ring, which didn't even matter anymore because who cares? And the next two unities back to back from the same person, and this was Alienationer who submitted these two unities. One of them rolled incredibly well, 499 dex, so almost max, 45% critical hit damage, max crit hit chance at 6, and then unfortunately the damage against elites is the minimum of 12%. So have fun re-rolling that. I think you would almost probably re-roll the dex off of that to get the socket, just because those other affixes are so strong. And then the other one rolled 443 dex, so a bit of a lower main stat roll there. 5% attack speed, critical hit chance at 4.5%, but then the max on the elite damage at 15%. But it was unbelievable because he was searching the entire season, had not found any unities at all. And even though rings went up to 100 blood shards per gamble, he was gambling them off of Kadala, and lo and behold, two back to back. This is RNGesus has said, fine, I bless you. Take these and go.
I need to pray harder to RNGesus because this is exactly what I needed. I'm super jelly.
It was just amazing because some of the mainstays of the podcast, like Lala was there, Shepherd was there, Mark of Death, and some of the other names that we throw out there pretty often. Everyone was just like, "Whoa, what?" I was like, "Hacks," and everyone's like, "Yeah, ban this guy. These are cheats." It was such a cool moment, and it's awesome, that some of these community things that they added in with Reaper of Souls help us have moments like this, because we would have never known unless he linked them, and then we wouldn't have seen it that back to back, quick succession, knowing that it was so lucky to get it like that.
Yeah, he would have told you the story, but you would have had to be skeptical, like, oh yeah, sure, you got two unities back to back.
Yeah, sure thing. Yeah.
Exactly. The salt was real though. Everyone was just like, whatever, man, get out of here.
Man, that's crazy. Next one comes to us from Xavier, and he's a French viewer, and says he's watched all episodes except maybe he's missed one or two. He admits, but loves the podcast. Thanks so much for the kind words. And he sent us this wired word. I don't know how you say it, but
it's weird.
It's weird. Yeah.
Yeah. Weird word.
But yeah, rolled really nice, 534 crit damage. He got the 6 crit on there with a reroll, and then has the socket. Lightning damage has a 17% chance to stun, but middle of the road there. But I thought it was funny because in his email he said he started listening to my YouTube videos first, and said that he travels a lot and has listened to my YouTube videos in I'm sorry, I was trying to make it in Hong Kong, China, Japan, Taiwan, France, Germany, and Italy, and so that my voice has been played in all those countries. But funny enough, Xavier, I've actually been to all those countries, so my voice and my body. I was only in Taiwan for a layover, but but yeah, it was just not that I've traveled a huge amount, but I have happened to be in all those countries. Just big coincidence.
Big coincidence.
There you go. Maybe you've seen him in every country that you've been to, too.
It's totally
almost like
possible.
it's a conspiracy.
Yes.
I
forgot. I was there while you were there in every country. That's what I meant to say.
I wanted to go back and correct myself because I actually saw in chat that people are saying rings are 50 blood shards. I was thinking of amulets. Sorry.
Ah, yes.
Sorry.
Yes.
So
There you go.
Well, we dropped the ball there too. We should been on it. All right, and the last one we have is actually not from one of our viewers, or actually it'd be cool if he is one of our viewers, but one of our viewers did send in. I want to give credit to the person who sent it in. This tweet from Deadmau5, or Deadma5 for those who don't listen to Deadmau5. And it was Devin Miller that sent this in. Thank you for showing us this. If you guys don't know, Deadmau5 is a I guess DJ. Is that he plays dubstep?
Yeah.
Electronic music DJ, if you will.
And he also plays Diablo. And he put out this tweet that was pretty funny. It says, when people link Nemesis bracers, after I hit a shrine, I just link them back with mine and say, I have Nems too. You mad, bro? And he shows these rare bracers he have that just happen to be called Nemesis brace.
It's not even bracers; they're gloves.
Oh yeah, they're gloves.
Yeah.
I didn't even...
it's not actually, the gloves themselves aren't actually showing on the stream. I don't know if you can adjust.
Oh yeah, I scrolled it down.
Okay.
See it
there, yeah, there we go. As soon as I say it, I see it pop up. Yep.
Nemesis brace. Such a troll. I love it. Like, what? I hit the shrine with my Nemesis bracers. Come on. It worked. Oh, man. Oh, you know what? One thing I actually wanted to point out that was a little bit of an undocumented change with 2.1.1 was that we can actually see that sockets have been re-rolled. Because remember before, we would always get those feedbacks of like, you can't tell if the socket's been re-rolled. You don't know if that item's been re-rolled or not. But I think they made that change specifically for this podcast.
Yep.
I think so.
I have that feeling too.
I think we should claim that either way.
Yeah.
There it is.
No. Wait, so I didn't even notice that though. How do you see that?
The same little swirly thing that's next to a fix that's been enchanted. They just put it next to the socket now.
That's pretty cool. I was trying to see if I could see it on any of the pictures that were sent in. But,
I'm not sure that we got any after the change.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it so far. Very interesting.
I believe even because it will show even if it was done prior to the change.
Oh,
it will
that's
show
true.
now.
Actually,
it'll show now. Yeah,
you're correct.
It's pretty cool.
Yep. There is, if you want to look at it, the one for the Mars Kaleidoscope from LG.
Oh yes, I'd have to.
Yes.
I'll just selfishly look at it. I don't.
Yeah, there you go.
Want to delay you guys, but
everyone else will have to pretend.
Yeah. All right. Well, is there any other topics you guys want to bring up before we wrap up the show?
I feel like I had something, and now I have nothing.
I bet it was such a good topic. It was like the best thing we'd ever talked about on the podcast.
It probably was going to be. Oh well.
That's the reason to watch next week.
Yeah, the only thing that I can think of really is just I'm starting to get really excited for BlizzCon.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Yep.
Party at BlizzCon.
Hell yeah. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah. Let us know, in the comments on YouTube videos or wherever if you're going to be at BlizzCon. Maybe we'll do like an informal meet people. I know those formal ones don't always work out because people don't show up. They like forget about it or something. Some new podcasters sometimes just I was talking about myself. I totally forgot last year. I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah, we should definitely go through and try and do that if we have some workshoppers that are going to be going through and showing up. Maybe we could do like shirts or something.
Yeah. Not a bad idea.
Fancy schmancy. We could create an army, like a Westmarch workshoppers, and everybody be like, well, what do you mean? You're just a shopper at work? Like, what do you do? What is this Westmarch? Is this a new mall?
It's not a very threatening army, I guess. Funny. Workshoppers.
Yep.
All right.
Should definitely go through and do it.
Do it to it.
I'm being asked to promote my stream. I suppose I could do that. So yeah, I've been streaming a lot more lately. We had a streak going actually. It was Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. I streamed all 3 nights. So if you guys do want to stop by, mostly been doing just like T6 riffs and talking about stuff in the game and whatnot. Mostly Crusader focused, but lending whatever knowledge I can on other classes that I have some info on. But yeah, I want to do some community things in the future too. Like one of the big things that we can do now, since a lot of the sharing of items has been taken away with BOA, is that when you complete your bounties, you can actually invite people into your game just to claim the bounty bags. So that's something that you can do if someone else can't do like a T6 bounty farm very quickly. Invite them in for that 100% chance to get a legendary out of there.
That's nice.
Awesome idea.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I preemptively started the outro music, so I'm gonna go ahead and back it up a little bit.
Oh, sorry.
No, that was all on me.
Yeah, no, that's. Sure, I should close it up and go into the after show.
Yeah. And if you guys don't know about the after show, it's because you don't watch us live, and you should try it sometime. It's a lot of fun. Twitch.tv/ArchonTheWizard on Wednesday nights, usually 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. We have a pre-show, after show, hang out, chat with us. We might read what you say. Who knows? If you want to send us some feedback, please do it. Westmarch Workshop at blizzpro.com. Send us in your items or questions or any kind of feedback, really. And then, of course, you can check us out on iTunes, on Stitcher, on YouTube, all the places. And follow us at Archon the Wizard, at SA Stewart 111, and at 9ballgamer on Twitter, and find us on Facebook. And until next week.
Yeah, and also at the WM Workshop on Twitter.
So sorry. Yes, we do have a Westmarch Workshop Twitter, WM Workshop. Until next week.